There will be no more. Welcome to the Last Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Spencer Chandler, here with my co-host, as always, Christian Miller. How's it going, Christian?
What's up?
How's it
Really,
going?
really ready for this little episode that we're gonna do.
Are you now? It's
I'm real.
nice.
I'm so ready.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm
listen.
extremely ready.
Yeah, I can tell. I can tell. This is again one of those episodes where we're not going to be super analytical, or at least we're going to try not to be. This is more of a cool, like laid back episode like we had last week. So about a month and a half ago, we, teased at some of our future podcast ideas, and one of those being a list of hypothetical questions. We had our first one of those during our Phantom Menace episode during our mutual rankings marathon, where we talked about what would happen if Qui-Gon Jinn didn't die and actually got the chance to train Anakin. And that was a fun conversation. So we decided, why not have just a bunch of different hypothetical questions, a bunch of what ifs, and we can discuss them here on the podcast. And I think this will be kind of a fun little episode to sit back and discuss some what ifs. Um, Once again, we're getting closer to February the 7th, which is going to be National Star Wars Podcasting Day, the first annual one of those, where a lot of different Star Wars podcasts over in the US and other places will be participating and releasing a special episode in honor of the 21st anniversary of Star Wars podcasting. If you would like to be a part of that, you can go follow Star Wars Pod Day on Instagram, or you can share the hashtag SWPD2021 on Instagram or Twitter. So thank you for doing that. And let's get into some what ifs. Our first question that we have here is from episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And it is, what if Anakin didn't stop Mace Windu from killing Palpatine? Christian, I think this is one that gets discussed a lot by people that I've seen, on the internet. There's a lot of, what if Palpatine did die? What if Anakin was then given a free choice instead of kind of being manipulated, even though he was manipulated up until this point? So are we going to? I think there's two options here. We can say that Palpatine was captured because Anakin convinced him to do it, or would you think Anakin would just let Mace kill him in this what if scenario?
I think the most plausible starting point for this what if scenario. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs that lead up to the major what if, and I think the
Yeah.
first what if is, what if there was heavier traffic in Coruscant?
What if Anakin didn't get there in time?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is very it's very much across the city. Like we see that scene of the is it the same building? It's not the same building. So I guess
Palpatine was in the Senate building.
yeah,
Anakin would have been
in the temple.
going from the Jedi Temple. Yeah.
Okay, so
So
it would
they're
be across
across the
city.
city.
Yeah.
It's sort of like, I think they're lined up similar to like the capital in
Okay.
this planet.
Okay. So what if Anakin did? What if Anakin did get stuck in traffic? He wouldn't be there. Mace would definitely kill him. Um, that would be a definite. But if Anakin didn't stop Mace, do you think he would have? Do you think he would have convinced Mace to take him to trial, or do you think he would have not been able to convince him, and Mace would have just killed him?
Well, before Anakin tackles the trial or murder sort of situation, he's also gotta figure out how he's gonna recover from slipping on a banana peel in the entrance to the Senate building.
Yeah, so he's super embarrassed at this point
Mm-hmm.
because
And
now they
he's
have him on
he's running
camera.
late.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. So how do you think he would deal with that?
Well, Anakin's very self-conscious, and he's I think he likes to have style, and so the idea that banana guts are on his boots while he's, walking in front of all these highfalutin politicians, I think it would be a bad look for him. He would be kind of embarrassed.
He's doing that thing where
Um,
like you shuffle your feet across carpet. You know what I'm
mhm,
saying? It's like he's not fully picking up his feet so you can see the
yeah,
bottom of them. He's like shuffling across, so it like slowly wipes off the banana peel into the bright red carpet of the Senate building.
yeah, and he slips into the bathroom, so that he can, scrape it off the best he can with the paper towel.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's an Ithorians only bathroom, because there's certain biological needs that the Ithorians need to attend to, that um, that it lets them, like, it warrants them have their own bathroom separate from other species, and so he's embarrassed because he's not in a human male bathroom, and all these Ithorians are really mad at him because they're like, why are you in our bathroom? This is for us. I don't, like, get out. I don't care if there's a banana peel on your boot. Um, and so he's really ticked off about that. He thought about choking them, but he's outnumbered.
Hmm.
Um, so he has to shuffle on to the next bathroom that he's allowed into. Um, and then, what is your knowledge of the elevator grid system in the Senate building?
I know that there is at least like there it's like a two-tiered system. Have you seen the ones where that they have like in in what is that building called? The Empire State Building, where like one goes from like floor 1 to floor 20, and there's one that goes from like floor 15 to floor 30, and it's like staggered like that. So there's
Uh-huh.
only one elevator like section of the Senate building, but they're staggered like that to go from like floor to floor. So you have to like figure out which elevator to take to get you to a certain floor. And I think that also could have set him back equally. Because he had a hard time trying to figure out which elevator took him to what floor. And yeah, even though he's,
I think he would have had the buttons all figured out because he's always in Palpatine's office anyway.
oh yeah,
Because they're always having their little secret meetings.
yeah, you're right.
Um, so that would be the one thing that he would have comfort in, that he knows his direction.
Hmm.
Do you think at this point, the closer he gets, that he's sort of getting these forced visions of what's going on? Obviously, he's already been signaled to go there, but, like, do you think he's, like, coming under stress because of the pain and suffering that he's sensing, or the evil he's
I
sensing?
don't doubt it because when he finally walks into the room, he definitely seems like he knows what's happened in the last few minutes. Now granted, he does walk past like four dead bodies of Jedi on the way
Hmm.
there, but I do think that he like knew what was happening as it was going on because he walks in as if he knows exactly what Mace is about to do. So I wouldn't
Yeah,
be surprised if he like got a vision of Mace Windu just like killing him on the spot.
and
um
he's maybe approaching the dead bodies, and he's like, I sense that they did not put much of an effort.
no.
You know,
Yeah,
he
exactly.
he could obviously their hearts not beating anymore, but before they died, their hearts weren't beating that much because they weren't really getting their blood pumping.
Hmm. I
Um,
think I think one of the biggest reasons that Anakin didn't like personally step in to help, Palpatine or Mace, either one, is because even if he did step in and save the day, they would still see the banana peel on the bottom of his shoe, and then that would just like completely ruin the fact that he just saved the day, right? Because
mhm.
like even though he got into the bath, he wasn't able to get it all off because it got into like the little tiny crevices in the bottom of his boot.
Yeah, and, like, part of the paper towel sort of stuck to the gooey parts,
Yeah, that's why
and
they
so it
never
was like,
show. That's why they never show him from below the waist in that scene.
yeah.
Hmm.
Um, and then, yeah, um, so he's coming there to confront Mace because he's promised this ability to save Padme from dying,
Yeah.
right? Um, and at this point, has Palpatine already broken the window? Um,
Uh, I
is
think
it?
yeah, I think so because in the scene of in that meme, that's going around the internet of Mace going, "He's too dangerous to be kept alive." The wind is blowing his robes a lot, and so I think the window's been broken already. So yeah, I would assume so. I think Mace would die either way. Because if you think about it, so he's gonna save. His choices are save Palpatine by pushing Mace out the window. But then if Mace kills Palpatine, I think Anakin is already so attached to the fact that he could save Padme that if his only way of doing it dies, he's gonna kill the person that gets rid of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think if Palpatine dies, Mace gets pushed out the window anyway. And Anakin's the only one left. I mean, I think that's probably the most likely scenario.
Do you think that his first action after that is to organize his power and make some sort of command of the clone army, or is his first thought Padme?
I think his first thought's Padme because he acts way too much on impulse. Anakin's one of the guys who's he's throughout the trilogy very impulsive, and he doesn't think things through a whole lot before acting. He just is like, I can do this, and then goes for it. So I think the first thing he would realize is that his only chance of saving Padme is gone. And so I think what he would do is he would just kind of the scene, just like the stereotypical, he gets down on his knees, because he's he can't believe what just happened. And he just sits there, and then it'll probably cut away to something. And then eventually I think his first thing will be Padme, and he has to go, and I think we'll get another one of those scenes when he first tells her that that she's gonna die, and she's just she doesn't believe him, and he's like, I have to save you even though I'm gonna be the thing that eventually kills you. The question that I want to discuss is whether he would still turn fully to the dark side without Palpatine. Because I think that's a really good talking point.
I think it would be less full. It wouldn't be direct. It wouldn't be direct in terms of power.
Yeah.
I don't think he would care about government anymore. I feel like he would just it would the system wouldn't really matter anymore. He would just be lashing out against anything that hurt him.
Yeah.
And the thing is, we know that Palpatine is a man with a plan. I bet we know that he has multiple contingencies, the things that can happen in any event, any result of his life. He has ways of maneuvering around things that happen to him, especially things that harm him.
Yeah.
And so, speaking of things that that harm Anakin in this situation after he's made this decision to kill Mace Windu, is that he steps on a contingency banana.
Another banana?
Yes.
Like an actual banana or a metaphorical banana?
No, it's a banana.
Okay.
And we know that he's right next to this open window with wind sucking in a lot of things, a lot of high-speed, vehicles going by the window. Now, do you think that he immediately falls out the window? No, we can't.
No.
There's no way. Anakin's as skilled, and he sees things before they happen. He's very powerful this way.
Yeah.
However, 4 more contingency bananas cannot be seen in such a way. It's one of those things that it's too powerful for a good Force user. And so as he is struggling to get up from the first contingency banana, he's doing a push-up to get up, and he realizes he's putting his hands on 2 other contingency bananas, but he's already got his weight on it, and he doesn't slip until he's getting up, and then he puts his foot down to brace, and he steps on another one, and that's the final one, and he falls out the window.
Okay. Does he?
Now,
does he fall on a? But does he fall on a passing speeder, like he did at the
I mean,
beginning of episode 2.
you would think.
You would think.
You would think.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, I feel like he's just too ashamed.
He accepts his fate.
I think he's just flipping through the air aimlessly, that like, so to the point where he can't even make a decision at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where we end. I think he splats down to the ground.
So you think that if Palpatine died, our official response is if Palpatine died, Anakin dies via contingency banana.
A total of 6 contingency bananas.
Yeah, 6.
If you count the one at the beginning.
Yeah. Okay. I like where you're going. I like where your mind's going. This one might be one that we actually want to talk about seriously. It's the Rey Kylo.
Yeah.
All right. So our next hypothetical question here comes from episode 8, The Last Jedi. And it's going to be, what if Rey took Kylo's hand? This is right after the big battle in the throne room, right? If I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
Whenever he reaches out and says, join me and we can, rule.
Take down the labels of Jedi and Sith and rule the galaxy.
Like it should be, or something like that. Yeah. Rey then says no, because she kind of sees that if that were to happen, she sees that as just another empire that's going to happen eventually. Kylo is almost power hungry at the end of that, I would say. That's kind of what it seems like.
And she doesn't want to destroy the Jedi, because if it weren't for the Jedi, then she wouldn't be motivated to do these good heroic things in the first place.
Yeah.
So she knows that there's value in being a hero.
Yeah. So she ultimately says no, and this causes them to separate again, which leads.
But what if she didn't? Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
What if she chose the personal attachment of Kylo and as opposed to the Jedi?
And I think the biggest thing we have to discuss here is whether she would convince him that she's right, or if he would convince her that he's right. Because
I feel like based on the question, taking his hand after he offers it, I feel like that means that she's agreeing with what he is proposing.
Okay. I think you're right. So Rey chooses to join Kylo and rule the galaxy as Rey and Kylo. Or Rey and Ben, who knows. So is this going to be like, would this be as bad as how Kylo would choose to do it by himself? Or is there going to be like a little bit of goodness in the way they rule because of, Rey kind of sitting there going, hey, that's kind of bad, Kylo. Like, I don't think you should do that. Because I think that's one thing we have to decide, because she is inherently wanting to do good and help people, and he seems like at the end of this that he's just out for power right now, which are very different. They both have very different motivations at this point in the movie.
Yeah, but what we're proposing is that they compromise or come to the same motivation.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, he's proposing marriage.
Yeah.
Which and the fight against the Praetorian Guards shows their physical chemistry. I mean, Kylo is definitely an admirer of Rey. We've talked about this many times.
Yeah.
There's lots of different visual things in The Last Jedi that you can point to as, indicators of their relationship. Obviously the intimate touching hands scene, the handcuffs, take that as you will. It's kind of kinky, let's be honest. And so if this is their wedding night, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
The first thing is not, oh, let's make some plans about world galaxy domination, because they're at the end of the day they're still like brain soup 20 somethings.
Yeah. The first thing is, where'd you put those handcuffs?
Yeah, exactly. They like they'll get to the logistics eventually, but right now they just can't get their hands and feet off each other.
Yeah. I think, as weird as that might be for a Star Wars movie, I think that's probably what would happen. First, um, I think Raylo would have happened much earlier if she would have taken his hand, instead of waiting till the end of the freaking trilogy and then him dying. Um, I
I think she could eventually have a lot of influence over him.
That's what I'm saying, because I feel like he is such a simp that he would eventually, kind of agree with her, and she would make him a better person overall.
Well, I mean, I think it'd still be very messy. Like, I think
Yeah,
she made the
yeah.
right decision. Like, I think in any case, in this sort of situation, you've got to create separation and let a person like Kylo like
Hmm.
make his own independent decision to be good, because it gets really complicated when like if he's trying to be good solely for a romantic relationship. You gotta let him
Yeah.
just be a better person. Um,
Yeah, no, I agree that I
and
think Ray made the right decision in the movie. I
like
think that was the way to
I know,
go.
like I don't know, the idea of like expecting women in a straight relationship to just like fix the guy is like a harmful expectation, because it's like it takes the pressure off of them to just be better people.
Hmm.
Um, but I see what you're saying. I think it would be a very complicated, messy thing where um they're arguing a bunch about how to be rulers of the galaxy, I guess, and like
Yeah, she would want to like make people, you know, she would want to make people happy and try to help the little guy because that's who she was.
but
Whereas,
at the
like,
same time still kill people. Like
oh,
if they're really
if they're bad
like
enough, yeah, she'd be
yeah.
like, kill him.
But I don't know. It's a weird hypothetical, I guess, because she still doesn't like the First Order. Like, would they kill all the stormtroopers, or would they set them free? Like,
Yeah, I feel like this isn't as easy of a hypothetical when it comes as like the Qui-Gon Jinn discussion. Because the Qui-Gon Jinn discussion, we get to see the full effect of what happens when the what if doesn't happen, right? Whereas in this one, we don't really get to see what it's like when, like, we kind of see what it's like when Kylo like leads the galaxy by himself, but not really, because by the time Rise of Skywalker comes out, it's him working for Palpatine, and he's not doing his own thing anymore. Um, so I think it'd be an easier discussion if we knew what had happened, and like if we actually had like if we, I know it's not perfect, but with the Trevorrow version, like we saw Kylo actually leading the First Order at that point. At the beginning of the movie, it is solely Kylo. He defeated the Supreme Leader. He is now a Supreme Leader, and we get to see what it's like with a galaxy under the rule of Kylo Ren. I think that it would be easier to discuss this question if we got to see what it's actually like when he's ruling, and we could then like, kind of like slide Ray in there and be like, how would she affect this? But it's a really weird conversation because we don't know, and we're kind of just having to guess based on their character personalities at the end of a movie.
it's left up to our imagination,
Yeah,
however graphic our imagination may be.
exactly. Um, do we have time for one more small what if?
Yes.
Okay.
It, could we call an audible though?
Yeah. Do you have one?
Because I do want to talk about Hux.
Okay. Is this a Hux and Finn thing or a Hux and Kylo thing? Or?
Hux and Chewie.
Hux.
Uh,
Oh, that's the one. It's the Hux and Chewie is the one that's funny. Yeah.
no, without making it a criticism of Tross or I don't know.
Without being too analytical.
Yeah, like without like reviewing something. Um, let's come up with a question for Hux and like if he made a different decision.
Like, what if he
And
wasn't the spy?
well, no, how about this? What if he attacked Ben Solo Kylo Ren when he was passed out? Remember he pulled out his gun for a second?
Yeah.
Like even if he like shot him, I don't think that would be the end of the fight. Like what if they confronted that
I totally thought you
at
were
that
gonna go
point?
in another direction. I thought you were gonna be like, what if Hux did what Callus did and joined the resistance? And you went the complete opposite direction. You went, what if he just killed someone and like became the new supreme leader?
Or just what would happen if they physically confronted each other rather than like sort of having vague arguments?
And so, what if they actually fought? I think Hux
Hmm.
would get his butt kicked.
I know. I'm just wondering like how that would change things.
I think that it would.
Like
I wouldn't. I think that Kylo would straight up kill Hux if he tried to fight him, because at this point, Kylo is so done with taking crap from Hux, and that's what ultimately causes Hux to be a spy for the Resistance. Is that he's just so done with Kylo.
mhm.
And I think that goes both ways. I have a feeling that Kylo would just straight up kill him. But if Hux killed Kylo and when he was passed out, I think you would get a whole new aspect of, hey, you think this is like Nazi Germany? Like Hux would literally be Space Hitler. I feel like. I think he has more Space Hitler vibes than anyone in the original trilogy. So if he was a supreme leader, I think that's what it would be like. I think he would kill
I
it.
I think I think the ultimate like obviously there's a lot of things that are sort of alluded to with the sequels.
Mm-hmm.
And they can use visual shorthand to be like, oh, this is like the modern neo-fascist empire,
Yeah.
called the First Order. But like I feel like the full extent of like a Hitler allegory would be Palpatine because
Yeah.
he transformed the democracy into an empire.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
And like you get like so many different comparisons because you have him in this state of government, then the next as he changes it and he enrages the public, gets
Yeah.
them to be against a entire people group, and then like all the like labor camps that are set up. A lot of it's like covered in like shows and
Mm-hmm.
comics and books of like the extensive like basically slavery and exploitation.
Explosion.
Let's go. We're exploiting today. Um, exploitation that Palpatine enforces. Whereas I think Hux just gets a good speech,
Yeah.
and like the saluting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the thing about the sequels is that um they didn't do a lot of like setup about the political climate.
Yeah, because then they were like, we're going to destroy the New Republic. And you're like, I didn't know the New Republic was a thing.
Yeah.
It's like, when did that become a thing? Apparently in the last 5 minutes when Hux said it.
Yeah.
Which I think that was always one of the things that I really liked about the other movies is that, or especially the prequels, is that I think I mentioned this when we were doing the mutual rankings marathon, is I'm super into the politics of like how things changed. And then we don't really get that a whole lot. But we're turning into analytical. We need to stop. No analytics. Wait, that's a different term than
No
analytical.
more Star Wars.
No more Star Wars. Not
Have
right
you seen that?
now.
Have you seen that Bernie Sanders video?
Which one? There's a lot.
It's from like the 80s because he was like critiquing Reagan because like Reagan had the Star Wars program.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying no more Star Wars, and people like use it in Star Wars discussions.
That's so funny. I've not seen that. I will now have to look that up. We were supposed to just be doing a short episode about hypotheticals, and now we're talking about Bernie Sanders memes from the 1980s. God.
I don't know. It's out of context. Maybe he was talking about Star Wars.
Maybe he was. Who knows? Um, yeah. Um, we can go ahead and I guess talk about the future of the podcast for a second, or what we know of at least. I know none of our listeners really know what's coming up next, and neither do we, to be honest. But this weekend, Christian and I are going to be kind of talking about the next month or two of podcast, and we're going to try to like see what kind of episodes we want to do and kind of the outline for that. And we will let you guys know in next week's episode what the timeline is going to look like for the podcast.
Expect a How is Blank Star Wars episode very soon. That's when we're
Yeah.
going to talk about other media that remind us of Star Wars.
And possibly a Kurosawa film coming up soon. So we're going to do some talking, and we'll let you guys know in next week's episode kind of what is going to be happening with the future and because I don't think Kenobi comes out till like the end of this year, or something comes out at the end of this year.
Yeah.
I don't remember what it is, but it's going to come out. So we'll see. And that'll be like our next big series, I guess, about being super analytical, unless we change our mind before then. So we'll see. Thanks for just sitting here for a short episode, all the listeners. I know that, it's not one of our longer episodes, but it was fun to just talk about a few hypotheticals in all seriousness on every single one of them. And if you want to go check us out on Instagram, I'm spncr.c on Instagram. Christian is Mission Kriller. Or you can go follow our podcast at Last Star Wars Pod on Instagram and Twitter, or the Last Star Wars Podcast on Facebook and YouTube, where we post all of these episodes as soon as they come out on any podcast platforms. Let's see, what else do we have to plug? Oh yeah, if you want to go check out in the description, the first link in the description of this podcast is starwarsnowthis.com, where you can find an archive of as many Star Wars podcasts as you can possibly think of about all kinds of different things, movies, comics, books, the movies, from a variety of hosts from all over the globe, who multiple will be participating in National Star Wars Podcasting Day coming up February 2nd. Make sure to share the hashtag SWPD 2021. And if you have any other questions, any other ideas for episodes that you want us to do, any other ideas for, if you want to give us some hypothetical questions to think about, you can email us at laststarwarspod@gmail.com, and we will read every email on the show. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this shorter episode of Last Star Wars Podcast, and we'll see you next week.